Alright, y'all, what's good? I'm not going to front. I'm very tired, so if I kind of get mixed up in what I'm saying, have to come back and have brain farts, just stick with me. But I wanted to come really quick and talk about this. So I was scrolling through YouTube, and you know how when you scroll through and you touch on certain videos without actually tapping it, like some of the video will play. Well, I'm subscribed to somebody on here who I think is like a spiritualist or something, or he talks about like spirituality and shit. And I was, reading the subtitles or whatever. I think it is when the words pop up, and he was talking about slavery. And we've all heard the stories, and we're kind of trying to debunk what really is going on and how we are the indigenous people of America, and actually a lot of different areas, and how we're the real Jews, we're the real Indians, we're the real a whole lot of different shit that they keep trying to tell us we're not. But he was talking about slavery, and he said something that was very interesting to me. And I was like, you know what, that does kind of make sense. So he was showing us the picture of the slave boat, the big ass boat they had them chained on and stuff like that. And he was talking about, of course, I guess what they told us throughout history, how they got us here, and I guess pretty much their not their duties, but how they what they would do while they were sailing. So I guess they were saying it took about a month to get us here from Africa, or did he say 3 months? It was something with the three, either 30 days or 3 months. But what he was saying, pretty much debunking it, and it made a lot of sense. He was saying, if they were making us, they had us all chained up, thousands of us on this boat, and they were making us sit, like he said, inside of our feces and piss. It would be impossible, especially back then when the Earth was still really, we really don't know because they give us a number and they say I think like the Earth is like 4.5 billion years old or whatever, or it used to be when I was still in school. It's older than that now, and probably way older than what they're estimating because they don't really know shit. The white folk. Um, but like he was saying, and me coming from healthcare, like he was saying, if we were sitting on there pissing and shitting on ourselves, and we were made to sit in that, and just hearing about the stories they used to talk about with the viruses and this plague and that plague and how it would wipe out whole nations and shit, the guy was exactly right. Something is wrong with that story because there is no way that we would have survived on the boat, pissing and shitting on ourselves, sitting in it, especially as big as this boat is. And I don't know how many slaves was on this boat, but it had to be probably a couple hundred or a couple thousand. There's just no way. And you don't even have to be in healthcare. It's just common sense. If I was to lay in my bed for a week in my piss and shit, I would have all sorts of probably MRSA and infections and things like that. So think, and now you know that black people are already very powerful, and the shit that we leak out of us when we're detoxing is way stronger than other folk. When we sweat and shit, it's a stronger smell, just like with like Mexicans or like Middle Eastern people. If you ever smelt them when they're like sweating and stuff, or when they eat, and the different scents come out of them, it can be very strong. One, it would smell crazy on that boat, but that's besides the point. But there is no way that we were on that boat, like he said, and we were pissing and shitting and laying in our own feces and pee, and we were sailing for 3 months or 30 days or whatever it is, however long it was, and they brought all of us over here, and we survived, and they were able to still use us as slaves and put us to work. There's no way. So right there's already something wrong with that story, and I was like, damn, that does make sense. And then too, like he was saying, if we were all chained up, and the pictures they show us that we were all packed up. There was barely any room to move. Like he was saying, anybody who's in nursing and has worked with like old folk knows that you have to do something what they call is like range of motion, and you have to turn people and stuff when like when they're in the bed or whatever, and make sure you're moving around every couple of days, every so hours, because you'll get bed stores, you'll get all sorts of infections. So if that's the case, um, we know it is no motherfucking way that they had all them slaves on there, and I don't care what type of structure they had and system. And this time we do this. This time we feed them. This time we let them pee. There's no way that they were able to turn and give everybody range of motion every single day for 3 months on this boat. So once again, there's another lie. Every, Majority of the people would have died. Majority of the people would have had infections on top of peeing and laying in your feces. And then, like he was saying, they always show, and I never thought about this too. They always show us pictures of the slave ships and slavery and this and that, but it's always like paintings or something they recreated with computer, or it's never like a direct picture of like me, or like we have a picture of our ancestors from like the 1700s. It's never nothing like that. But he was like, they do have pictures of the white slaves, the ones who were exiled and kicked out of Europe. And I was like, damn, it is crazy that they don't really have any pictures of it. It's always something they painted or they drew or they've recreated in some way, but it's never like a real shit that's old school where you can see like real people. The shit just gets deeper and deeper. The rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper. And then it's very important that we figure this out, because when you're talking about spirituality, I understand why it's kind of hard for a lot of black people to find out which way to go. Even if you wanted to stay in Christianity, I mean, I don't. What customs and foundations are we really supposed to be worshiping? And that's why I really heard through the grapevine that they were saying, in Africa, the people really aren't, or the Africans who practice out there, who've been practicing voodoo for a long time, and the different religious paths, and I'm trying to say, different voodoos, the different palos, the different whatever they're practicing out there that was supposed to be our original, spirituality, whatever. A lot of them are saying through the grapevine that that shit, it really don't hold no power like that anymore. And they really say they come over here and they want our hoodoo because it's more powerful now. And I heard another spiritual say that a long time ago too, where she was saying, we shouldn't be really fucking with that voodoo or the palo. Not necessarily saying we shouldn't be fucking with it at all, but she was like, really, you should be practicing and working with your ancestors who are in America. One, because we're finding out if it really is true that we were most likely here first, and even if we weren't here first, it didn't go down like they're saying. Like, we're descendants of Africa. We're probably just really descendants. Some of us probably are. We're descendants of America. We're the indigenous people, like they said. And then two, we're not even two. So that would make a lot of sense why a lot of you guys get into like Santeria. I know in Santeria a lot of that shit didn't work for me either. You get in Santeria or like Palo and these different religions, you get initiated, or even if you're not initiated and you're practicing, which you can practice without being initiated, a lot of that shit don't manifest for you, and you be wondering why. Now, some of it's because what I used to say, my old school saying was, a lot of you, and I got this from another reader. She used to call you because your book, which you get books and they take set up the altar here. They have the layout. The water goes here. The candle has to be in the middle. Then you have a charm right here, and the chalice goes here. The little Wiccan setup, and they show you, and the pentagram goes on the right side, not the left. Like, a lot of this shit don't work. A lot of, like I said, a lot of you guys don't manifest either because you're book witching. You're not really, because I was famous for that too. Like, although it's bloodline, when I got into it, a lot of it I was spending a long time just like reading and not really putting anything to action. And eventually I was like, fuck the books, I'm about to just jump in full force. And some of that got me in trouble, but I had to get me some experience. But yeah, getting back to the slavery, something's not adding up, like I said, with that. So we're gonna put that on the shelf, but we're going to get deeper into this conversation. This is part one on this video right here. But they were completely right. But yeah, I don't really say like still go get initiated in Apollo and Voodoo and Santeria or whatever. But really, and it might be hard. Like I was thinking about earlier, like really our idols or spirits that we really, I guess, should be working with if we were to kind of like remove the Santeria and really try to get into the nitty gritty of the real roots and the real power. It would be like your Dr. Sebbies and your Marie Laveau's and your Black Hawk and your High John. That would really be the spirits we should be working with, and really where the power is. We should really be putting our Mother Teresa's, our ancestors who have passed off, who have transcended for like a couple hundred years and who are now on a higher pedestal. We should really be fucking with them ancestors and maybe putting like the Orishas and them to the side for a second, because that's where the power really lies. Like, I'm famous for it too. A lot of us want to go over here and want to go fuck with the African spirits and the spirits from different countries, but you're not even fucking with your own shit in your own soil, and that's gonna be more powerful because you know directly that you're connected to that. We are still not sure if we are even connected to Africa. I mean, we all know we came from there, but you get what I'm saying. We still don't know if the story is right when they're saying we're descendant. Because, like we said, we know we were all spread out. So you may be thinking, I'm African, but your motherfucking ass is straight Sicilian. You're fucking Puerto Rican and black. You are nowhere. Your bloodline ain't nowhere in Africa, and you calling up a Shun or this guy this directly African, and this shit ain't manifesting for you. And you're like, I'm black. These are my people. Why is this shit not working? I done went out and bought $1,000 mirror for Oshun. I done bought this. I done bought that. she's not working for me. Why don't she like me? What's going on? I keep going to my Tata, my Baba, my Gaga, my Boo Doo 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 Baba, blah, 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 blah. Like, all these different names, and the shit ain't manifesting. And like I said, that's the West Side. You motherfuckers need to get real deep into your hoodoo. And you might, well, I guess I was gonna say you might even have to remove the Bible when you're practicing. I guess you can't really remove the Bible when you're practicing hoodoo because that's the whole gist of it. It's like the mixture of the African spirituality with the Bible, and y'all know what hoodoo is for those y'all who practice or whatever, and read your books or whatever, know your knowledge. But yeah, so it's time for you guys to go get the old photo albums, go get the moldy photo albums up in the motherfucking attic that are wet and the pictures all mildewed and whatever, and find them and get the fucking names of these spirits of your great 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 grandmother from the 1700s and try to figure out the best way you can and make her a fucking idol or make her a fucking Orisha and start fucking with her before you go hop into, like I said, Ogun and Chango and all these different people. And then when you get into the religion, they say over here in this religion, Chango is this, or it's said Chango, but this one it's Zango, and this one it's Oshun or Ochun or Kalunga and Wawunga and Mama Chola Wenge. Like, it's all confusing. And then when you really look at it, you're like, well, they're all really the motherfucking same spirit. But then when you really look at it again, you're like, but they're really not because some of them have different attributes, they have different symbols, they have different personalities. It's a lot going. It's just confusing. But that guy, he really like burst in my bubble, and I knew some of this, but he really had me thinking. I was like, that don't make no sense. There's no way it was all these thousands of slaves in there, and y'all was pissing shit on each other, and then y'all were able to once you got to America, work for hundreds of years and still live and didn't have all sorts of infections. Ain't no way. And then there ain't no way that they were rotating you like they were supposed to be. So you had all sorts of bed sores. You didn't have no circulation. There's no way. Most of them places had to have been dead. So it would have been a pointless fucking ride. A pointless ride. And then I came to this conclusion myself too. I was like, okay, we got all that. We talked about that. I'm gonna put that to the side. Y'all just stole us from another country and brought us over here. Ain't no way y'all took us from a whole nother country, thousand of us, and we don't know y'all language. And now you're getting us to work. How are y'all able to speak to us and tell us how to work? How? I understand visually you can show us what to do or whatever, but if we don't know your language at all, how are you able to talk to us? You get what I'm saying? The rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper. And then, like, they were saying, like, if it's motherfucking 5,000 of us on the boat, and there's only, like, 10 slave masters on there and the captain, you telling me y'all were able to chain all of us motherfuckers up, and we ain't do shit, and we didn't try to overthrow that motherfucking boat or sink it or kill your ass? That ain't making sense. Ain't no way you had motherfucking 5,000 niggas on that motherfucking boat, yo, and y'all had 5 fucking guns or just 5 motherfucking slave masters. You had and you made us sail over here and made us slaves. Ain't no way. Something about this story not adding up. It ain't adding up, man. Ain't no way. And you see how we look over here. We not as buff and beautiful, and our bodies don't look like these two when we was over motherfucking Africa. But you see how the motherfuckers look. They're beastie as a motherfucker. Even the women, fucking bodies built. Ain't no way. On American Horror Story, we're really gonna talk about something. We only reason why they got us because we weren't able to run them fast enough. Stop it. Something added about the story. The only way you would be able to get that many motherfucking slaves, as big as we was, and it's only a couple of you slave masters, is if you date raped us or some shit and drug us with that belt. Ain't no way. Especially when you hear the stories where they were saying that some of the motherfuckers would jump off the boat because I forgot one. I think it was a hoodoo book where they were talking about. I don't remember if it was about religion or what, but how the story went. Like I said, I'm very very tired. I've been working for a long time with a lot of work, but I forgot how the story went. But they were talking about the stories about how some of the slaves would sacrifice themselves because I think some of it had to do with religion. Like they were trying to force like Christianity on them, and some of them would jump off the boat and kill themselves because they were not willing to practice what they were practicing, or they were not willing to give up their gods. It was something else that I can't remember the story, but a lot of them did sacrifice themselves. They would kill themselves before they would become slaves or this or that. Um, like I said, I don't remember the full story, but it, it, it ain't adding up. You get me now, though? So still go check out your Oshun. It's connection there, and they're very powerful beings because I've worked with them. But like I said, I didn't know that some of that stuff did not manifest for me either. And like I said, it may be time. to pull out Martin Luther King and make him the Ogun or the Oshun or whatever. Fuck with the land that you're on now. Go get the graveyard over here. Stop trying to order shit from Africa and bring it over here, or flying over to Cuba to get Impala or whatever. The fuck? And I know that I'm being hypocritical because I'm Impala and I had to fly to Cuba and do whatever. But you feel me? Did that make sense? Anywho, it's been a minute, y'all. And you know, motherfucking what? I'm gonna say this too. I had motherfuckers have me out here and change my name to King of the Root. I'm still King of the Root, but bitch, I'm still the motherfucking cursed prophet. I don't give a fuck. And I don't care who like or who's scared of his name. So, ooh, you should be walking around saying that you're cursed. Bitch, I'm still the cursed prophet. And what? One. Bye, y'all.